Hi, before you scroll away, listen carefully. What you're about to hear sounds like fiction, but it isn't. Today I'm going to tell you a story that completely changed the way I see Pattaya. When I first heard it, I was sure it was fake. Just another beautiful myth, another legend about a bar and a tourist. But then I met these people in real life. I sat at the same table with them. I saw their children. And I understood one thing. Sometimes reality is darker, more complex, and more powerful than any fiction. This story began in the place where other people's hopes usually end, in a bar on Walking Street in Pattaya. And if you think you already know how it ends, you're wrong. Let's begin. So, Pattaya, early 2000s. The city is already turning into the madness we know today. Neon signs, music on every corner, bars with half-naked girls, crowds of tourists, the smell of street food frying. You know, there's this atmosphere where you're simultaneously amazed and horrified. Freedom and debauchery walking hand in hand. And into this city comes a girl. Her name is Play. 22 years old, from a village in Ubon Ratchathani province. That's up in the northeast Isan. If you don't know what Isan is, it's the poorest region of Thailand. People work in rice fields from dawn to dusk and earn pennies. Literally pennies. Play had a typical Isan story. Single mother, younger brothers and sisters, no work, no prospects. Imagine, you wake up every morning knowing that today will be the same as yesterday. Rice, field work, heat, exhaustion, more rice. And so until the end of your life. Pure hopelessness. And suddenly a friend calls from Pattaya. Says, come here, you can earn 10 times more. 10 times. Bar work, nothing complicated, smile at tourists, serve drinks, entertain. And the money flows like water. Play understood what that meant. She wasn't stupid. She knew that bar work in Pattaya wasn't just waitressing. But when her younger brother got sick and they needed money for treatment, money they didn't have anywhere close to, the choice became obvious. Either her brother or moral principles. Can you guess what Play chose? She got on a bus with one battered suitcase and 3,000 baht in her pocket. That's all she had. Can you imagine that journey? 11 hours from a quiet village to the epicenter of Thai nightlife. What was going through her head? And so she arrives. Walking Street. Anyone who's been to Pattaya knows this is the main artery of nightlife. A kilometer of bars, music, lights, shouting, laughter. Girls in bikinis dancing on bar counters, tourists screaming songs, the smell of beer mixing with fried seafood. It's like another planet. Play was in shock, complete shock. For the first week she cried every night, couldn't get used to men looking at her like a commodity. Touching her hands, her waist, saying crude things. Offering money for, well, you get it. But the money. Those cursed money. In her first month, she earned 15,000 baht. For her, this was huge money. She sent 10,000 home. Her mother cried with happiness on the phone. They treated her brother. The younger kids went to school in new uniforms, and Play decided, okay, I'll manage. This is temporary. Work for a year or two, save money, buy a house in the village, start some business. Everyone says that. Nobody plans to stay in a bar forever. 2 years passed. Play was no longer that scared girl from the village. She'd learned English, pretty well actually. Made friends, learned to distinguish problem clients from normal ones. Learned to smile when she felt empty inside. Learned to be two people at once, a cheerful bar girl at work and a tired girl at home. She had clients. Of course she did. Tourists would come for a week, spend time with her, give her money, promise to write, promise to come back, and disappear. Forever. Play learned not to wait, learned not to believe promises, learned to keep her heart locked up. You know what's the scariest thing about this work? Not what you do, but that you stop feeling. You become a robot. The smile, the flirting, the interest, all on autopilot. Empty inside. And then one evening, a completely ordinary evening, when Play thought she'd seen every type of man out there, he walked into the bar. Tall, light hair, grey eyes, about 35, dressed simply, jeans, t-shirt. Not like most tourists, not drunk, not loud, didn't grab girls by the hand, just came in, sat at the bar, ordered a beer. and pulled out a book. A book, in a bar on Walking Street. Can you imagine? That's like coming to a strip club with a math textbook. Play had seen a lot of weird things, but this was something new. She approached him out of habit, with her standard smile, ready for the usual dialogue. "Where are you from? What's your name? Buy me a drink." But he looked at her and simply said, "Hi, my name is Mark. I'm from Germany. What's your name?" And he actually waited for an answer. Looked into her eyes. Not at her chest, not at her legs, into her eyes. When was the last time a man looked Play in the eyes? They got talking, and Play suddenly realized she was talking to him normally, not playing a role, not pretending to be interested, just talking. About life, about family, about what it's like to live in Pattaya. Mark told her he was a programmer, came for a month to work remotely. Tired of Germany, tired of winter, tired of office routine. Wanted sun and sea, chose Thailand. At the end of the evening he paid for his beer, said goodbye and left. Didn't offer money, didn't ask how much her time cost, just left. Play was confused. What was that all about? But he came back the next day, and the day after, and the day after that. Every evening he'd come, sit at the bar, order one beer and talk with Play. About books, about travel, about programming, about Thai culture. Play's friends laughed at her, said, "Are you stupid? Time is money. He just talks, doesn't pay anything. Why are you wasting time with him?" But Play couldn't explain. For the first time in 2 years, she was waiting for someone to come. Not because of money, but just because she wanted to see him. On the 8th day, Mark came during the daytime, when the bar was almost empty. Sat across from Play and said, "Listen, I want to invite you to dinner. A proper dinner at a nice restaurant. Just spend the evening together. Not for money. Like friends. Or maybe more than friends. If you want, of course." Play was confused. In 2 years of bar work, she'd experienced everything, but a man simply asking her on a date, that had never happened. Usually everything was simpler and more cynical. She agreed. Why? She didn't know herself. Maybe she was tired of cynicism. Maybe she wanted to believe that good people still exist. They sat in a small Italian restaurant by the sea, ate pasta, drank wine, watched the sunset, talked about everything. Mark talked about his work, about life in Germany, about how tired he was of monotony. And then Play took the leap, told him the truth, the whole truth, what she did for work, why she ended up here. She waited for him to get up and leave, or start judging, or look at her with contempt. Almost everyone did when they found out. But Mark just nodded and said, "I understand. You're doing what you have to do to help your family. There's nothing wrong with that. Circumstances are just circumstances. They don't define who you really are." And Play cried, right there, at the table, in an expensive restaurant. Cried with relief that someone saw her as a person, not a bar girl. Someone didn't judge, someone understood. Mark handed her a napkin and sat quietly beside her while she calmed down. From that evening, their lives intertwined. Mark stayed in Pattaya. His 1-month visa turned into 2 months, then 3. He rented an apartment in Pratumnak, worked from cafes with Wi-Fi, and spent evenings with Play. Play continued working at the bar, but now only as a bartender. Refused to see clients. The owner was unhappy. She brought in less money. But Play didn't care. You know what's strangest? Mark didn't try to save her, didn't say, "Quit this job, I'll support you." He was just there. Helped with her English, showed her around town, cooked dinners, watched movies. Normal things that normal couples do. And for the first time in her life, Play felt like a normal woman. Not the family breadwinner, not a worker. Just a woman who's loved. After 6 months, Mark proposed. Not in an expensive restaurant, not on a yacht, not with a $1,000,000 ring. They were sitting on Yomtien Beach, eating mango from a bag, and Mark just said, "Play, marry me. I want us to be together, always." Play didn't even think. Said yes immediately. You think a fairy tale began next? Ha! That's when the real fun started. Mark's family in Germany. Oh God, his family. When Mark told his parents he was marrying a Thai girl who works in a bar, his mother fainted. Seriously. Passed out right during the video call. Mark's father was more restrained. He just said, "Over my dead body. You're making the biggest mistake of your life. This woman is using you for money and a visa. Don't be an idiot." Mark tried to explain, talked about play, about her family, about what a good person she is. But his parents wouldn't listen. They gave an ultimatum. Either he dumps this woman or they disinherit him and cut off contact. You know what Mark did? He chose play. Told his parents, "Fine, then goodbye," and hung up. Play only found out a week later. When she did, she cried for 3 days, said, "I don't want you to lose your family because of me. Let's break up, go back to your parents." Mark said, "No. Family isn't just blood. Family is those who are there when things are hard, and you're here. So you're my family." But that was just the beginning of the problems. Documents started, visas, bureaucracy. The German embassy in Bangkok looked at them like they were scammers. Interviews, checks, tons of paperwork. They asked Play, "How did you meet? How many times did you see each other? Prove the relationship is real. How do you prove love? Print out messages, bring witnesses, take a lie detector test." The process dragged on for a year. A year of stress, doubts, fears. And then there was Play's family. Oh, that's a whole other story. When Play brought Mark to the village to meet her relatives, madness began. Her mother was happy, hugged Mark, cried, thanked him for making her daughter happy. But the other relatives, they saw Mark as a walking ATM. Literally, uncle needs money for a tractor, 50,000 baht. Cousin needs school fees paid, 30,000. Aunt's roof broke, 20,000. Neighbor asking for a loan, 10,000. Mark helped. He understood that in Thai culture, helping family is normal, almost an obligation. He gave money. 10,000, 20, 50. But the requests never ended. Never. Someone always needed something, and always urgently. Play was torn. On one hand, her family, her blood. She felt guilty if she refused. On the other, Mark, who'd already spent several thousand euros on people who didn't even properly say thank you. Arguments started, serious ones. Mark said, "Your family is using me, they don't appreciate what I'm doing." Play defended her relatives. "You don't understand our culture, this is how it's done with us." Several times they were on the verge of breaking up. Play packed her bags. Mark left home for a few days. But each time they came back, sat down and talked. For a long time, for many hours, sometimes all night. Looking for compromise, looking for a way to live together without losing themselves and their relationship. After a year, they got married. Small ceremony in Pattaya. A few friends, Play's mother, nobody else from either family. Play in a simple white dress from a local shop. Mark in a light shirt, exchanged rings at sunset on the beach. It was the happiest day of Play's life. She stood barefoot on the sand, held Mark's hands and thought, "I did it. Despite everything, I became happy." And 2 months later, she found out she was pregnant. Mark was ecstatic, jumping around the apartment, calling friends, making plans. But Play was terrified, really terrified. She thought, "How can I be a mother? I worked in a bar, I slept with men for money. What kind of mother am I? My child will be ashamed of me when they find out." Old wounds and shame came back with double force. Play started avoiding Mark, withdrew, cried at night. Mark didn't understand what was happening, thought she didn't want the baby, tried to talk, but Play stayed silent. Until one day she completely broke down, cried and screamed, "I don't deserve this. I don't deserve a child, family, happiness. I'm dirty. I worked in a bar. I... Mark hugged her, tight, and said, "You deserve everything. Everything you did out of love for your family. That doesn't make you a bad person. That makes you a hero. And you'll be the best mother in the world because you know what it means to fight for those you love." And something inside Play broke, or rather, healed. She allowed herself to believe that she deserved happiness. They stayed in Pattaya. Mark worked remotely, Play quit the bar and started studying. English courses, then accounting. Wanted to become better, wanted her child to be proud of her. A daughter was born. Mia, small with her father's grey eyes and mother's dark hair. When Play held her for the first time, looked into those tiny eyes, she understood. This is it. This is what made going through all that hell worth it. But life didn't get easier. Not at all. Mark worked a lot, a whole lot, to support the family, pay for the apartment, send money to Izan. Came home exhausted, squeezed dry like a lemon. Play stayed home with the baby, all day long, changing diapers, feeding, soothing. Got so tired she'd collapse into bed like she was dead. Felt isolated from the world. The family in Izan didn't stop calling with requests for money. Constantly, Play had to answer calls, listen to reproaches. We're family, how can you refuse? Money was always tight, always. New arguments started. Play accused Mark, you don't help me at all, I'm alone with the baby 24 hours a day. Mark answered, I'm working, I'm providing for us, providing for your family, what else do you need? They almost stopped talking, only about household things. Buy milk, pay the bill, take out diapers. When Mia turned 1, Play seriously thought about divorce. She'd lie at night thinking, maybe this was a mistake. Maybe the love ended and only obligations and exhaustion remain. Maybe she should have stayed at the bar. At least it was simpler there. And then something happened that changed everything. Mark got sick, seriously sick. Tropical fever, temperature near 104, delirium. They took him to the hospital in an ambulance. Doctors said, dangerous condition, we'll keep him under observation. Play left her daughter with a friend and rushed to the hospital. Sat by Mark's bed and didn't leave. At all. Didn't sleep for 2 days, held his hand, prayed to all the gods. And suddenly realized losing him is impossible, physically impossible. She could be angry at him, argue, get tired. But live without him? No. Never. All the arguments, all the resentments, all the exhaustion, it's all nonsense. Only one thing matters, that he's alive, that he's near. Mark recovered in a week, came home pale, thin, but alive. And they sat down to talk, really talk, for the first time in months. Play said, I was afraid of losing you, and I realized that everything else doesn't matter. Only you matter. Mark said, I was afraid too. Afraid that I disappointed you, that I'm not good enough as a husband, as a father, that you regretted choosing me. They cried, hugged, and agreed they would talk to each other, always, about fears, about problems, about feelings, not keep silent, not accumulate resentments. And they set boundaries with the family in Izan. Fixed amount each month, 10,000 baht. No more, no less. Whether it's enough or not, that's not their problem. Mark started helping more with the baby, got a more flexible schedule, started working less but more efficiently. Play found a job as an administrator at a small hotel, a few hours a day while Mia was at daycare. Not much money, but it was important for her to feel needed and fulfilled again. Gradually life got better. Didn't become perfect, no, but became normal. Good. When Mia turned 3, a son was born, Liam. A boy with his mother's smile and father's stubbornness. They bought a small house near Yomtien. Nothing fancy, 2 bedrooms, small yard, but theirs. Theirs. Got a dog, Max, a mutt from the shelter. Bought an old Toyota for trips around town. Play worked as a hotel manager. Mark opened his own small company, a few clients, stable income. The kids went to a good international school. Ordinary life, work, kids, dinners, beach weekends, occasional trips to Bangkok. And then, 7 years after the wedding, a miracle happened. Mark's parents wrote, said they wanted to come, meet their grandchildren. Play was in shock. She thought she'd never see them, that they'd never accept her. They came in February, Mark's mother, father, younger sister. The first meeting was tense. Everyone was silent, didn't know what to say. Mia and Liam hid behind Play. And then Mark's mother looked at the grandchildren, at Mia with her grey eyes, at Liam with his smile, and burst into tears. Hugged Play and said, forgive me. Forgive me for all these years. I was wrong. I judged you without knowing. But now I see, you made my son happy. You gave us these wonderful children. Thank you. Play cried too. Hugged her mother-in-law and thought, is this real? Did everything work out? Mark's parents spent a month in Pattaya, walked with the grandchildren, cooked dinners together, went to the beach. The ice melted, the hostility disappeared. Before leaving, Mark's father called Play over and said, "I was wrong. I thought money and education made a person worthy. But you showed me that dignity is about something else. About how you fight, how you love, how you protect your family. You're a worthy woman, and I'm proud you're part of our family." Now Play is 35, Mia is almost 10, Liam is 7. They're growing up bilingual, knowing both Thai and German culture. Go to Germany every summer to visit Grandma and Grandpa. Play doesn't work at the hotel anymore, opened her own small tourism business, helps foreigners with visas, housing rental, paperwork. She knows what it's like to be a stranger in a strange land. Mark expanded the company, now has 5 employees. The family in Izan still gets 10,000 baht a month. They don't ask for more, understood that's the boundary. Sometimes, in the evenings, when the kids are asleep, Play and Mark sit on the terrace, drink wine and remember. Mark asks, "Did you ever regret it?" Play shakes her head. "Never, not for a minute. Even in the hardest moments I knew, it's worth it." "And you?" she asks. Mark smiles. "I only regret one thing, that I didn't walk into that bar sooner." They laugh. And you know what? They're really happy. Here's what this story taught me. First, stereotypes are just stereotypes. Behind every girl in a bar is her own story, her own reasons, her own dreams. It's easy to judge, harder to understand. Second, love isn't butterflies in your stomach and romantic sunsets. It's work. Daily, hard work. It's compromise, conversations, forgiveness. It's the ability to go through hell and not let go of the hand of the one beside you. Third, happiness is possible. Even when everything is against you. Even when circumstances are unbearable. Even when the whole world says, "You won't make it." You just need to believe. And fight. Every day. Play and Mark are still together, still happy. Still proving to skeptics that true love exists. Even if it started in a bar on Walking Street. Even if it seemed impossible. Even if it went through fire, water and hell. You know, after this meeting, I changed my opinion about a lot of things. About Pattaya, about bars, about the girls who work there, about people in general. Because behind every story is a person. With their own fears, dreams, pain. And sometimes, very rarely, a miracle happens. 2 people from different worlds meet and understand. This is the one. Play and Mark's story isn't a fairy tale. It's real life with all its problems, arguments, tears. But it's proof that happiness is possible, if you're ready to fight for it. Every single day. Now tell me honestly, did you believe when I started that the story would end exactly like this? That through all these trials they'd stay together? That Mark's parents would come and accept Play? I didn't believe it either, until I saw their family photos, heard the children's laughter, felt the atmosphere of their home. This isn't fiction. This isn't a romanticized story for likes. This is the real life of real people who proved that love is stronger than circumstances. And you know what? There are more stories like this in Pattaya than you think. They just don't write about them in tabloids, don't make sensational reports about them. Because happy families are boring, right? But I think these stories need to be told. Because they give hope. Show that even from the most hopeless situations there's a way out. That everyone deserves love and happiness, regardless of the past. That people can change, forgive, accept. And that true love isn't what they show in movies. It's much more complicated, much harder, but also much more real. Play is no longer that scared girl from the village who came to Pattaya with 3,000 baht. She's a successful businesswoman, loving mother, happy wife. Mark is no longer a lonely programmer running from German winter. He's the head of a family, father of 2 children, business owner. Their children are growing up in love, understanding, in 2 cultures at once. And when Mia asks, "Mom, how did you and Dad meet?" Play smiles and says, "That's a long story, sweetheart. I'll tell you when you're older." Because some stories are too complex for children's ears. But at the same time, too important to forget. That's the story, from a bar on Walking Street to a happy family with a house, kids and a dog. Who said fairy tales don't come true? They do come true. You just need to be ready to go through all the trials. Not give up halfway. Believe when it seems there's no hope. And most importantly, find that person who's ready to walk this path with you. Play found Mark. Mark found play. And that, my friends, is worth its weight in gold. End of the story? No. Their story is just beginning. Ahead are dozens more years, new trials, new joys. But now they know, together they can handle anything. Because they went through fire, water, and hell, and survived. More than that, became happy. And you say it's impossible. And now tell me honestly, could you walk this path for love? Could you trust someone when the whole world is against you? Write in the comments, do you believe in stories like this? Or do you think they're just rare exceptions? If you liked this story, hit the like button. It helps the channel grow and brings more real stories that never make the news. And don't forget to subscribe. There are many more stories ahead about Pattaya, people and destinies that change lives, because sometimes reality is stronger than any movie.